just starting like, who is this for? So this live would be for anybody that's either struggling to set their goals for the new year, hasn't set their goals for the new year. Maybe you set goals, but you're not too sure of them. It's probably for you. And I'm gonna share my personal experience because I was really struggling in this area, and I'm someone who I'm very big on goal setting. I'm very big on getting all of this done way before the new year. But this year, I really struggled with this. So something told me just come on here and just share it because if I was struggling with it, I think there's probably a good chance that other people might be struggling with this or might just be so frustrated at the whole process of even setting up goals. They just don't do it. Um, so for me, for years, I've always set goals. I've always done it prior to New Year's. I've always loved the new year. I don't know what it is. Yes, January 1st is just another day, but it's not another day. It just something about it feels like I don't know, like God reached down and hit the reset button for everybody, and He gives you a clean slate, and you got 365 days to do whatever you want with. I get it. It's just another day, but to me, that's how it feels, and I think for a lot of people, it really feels that way. It feels as if you get to hit the reset button. So this year, when I was setting my goals, I usually take a day and clear my schedule, and I just sit down in my office, no distractions, and set goals. I struggled this year. I took the day off, and then I went to write out my goals, and nothing was happening. Like the whole day, nothing was happening. Now, keep in mind, this was probably the middle of December, and the whole day, nothing happens, nothing gets accomplished. December 20th comes, nothing's done. 25th, we're all the way till December 31st. I still don't have my goals written out, which is not like me. But something wasn't allowing me to do it. And there's millions of books. I don't know if there's millions, but there's literally thousands of books that teach you how to set goals, different strategies for setting goals, different, do you have an end in mind? Do you put a time frame in mind? There's all these different books and resources and coaches and people that teach different ways of setting goals. Some people say don't set goals. Some people say set goals. Some people say put end marks on them, put deadlines on them. Like there's all these different things. And for whatever reason, like this year, I was really struggling with this. So if you're struggling, really hammering down setting your goals, if you've set goals, but you're not very confident in them and you don't feel too good about them, I think this live is really going to help you out. So here's what I did. I took, and anybody that you probably don't maybe even know me, but I'm very big on reading. I read a lot, especially on this subject here, because it's so important. And I'm just like you. I want my 2025 to be incredible, right? Which if you're listening to this, I'm sure you want your 2025 to be incredible. Regardless of what last year looked like, everybody wants the next year to be better. You just do. It's just how we roll. So I was like, there's so much like pressure. And this year, especially because I included my wife in what I wanted to accomplish. I started telling her, okay, here's the goals I want. Here's what's going to happen after 12 months. So I enrolled my wife in the plan. So let me lay down exactly what I've done, and it's worked very, very well for me. So the very first thing I did is last night I took my wife out to a very nice restaurant. I took my kids with me, and it was specifically to say goodbye to the old version of our life. It was to celebrate the old version of how we did things. It was celebrate all the goodness that God brought into our life, the good, the bad, all of that. But to then say bye-bye, say sayonara to it. Like it physically had to happen. Like I couldn't just, because you can do that in your head. Like in your head, you can say, like, you can dead the old you. But it was literally like a celebration to dead the old version. It's like even when we were at the table, I told my wife, I'm taking you out to let you know, like, say bye-bye to the old version of our lives. That's no longer who we are. Here's where we're going. And she kind of like chuckled and she said, like, you took me out to tell me that? Yes, I did, because it was important. We actually had to dead it. So then this morning, again, January 1st, goals still aren't set. What I did is I relied on basic human psychology and biology. Those are never going to fail. So I don't care what someone tells you about setting goals, how accurate it is, does it work, does it? Maybe that works, maybe it doesn't. What I do know is human psychology and human biology will never fail. So that's how I went about setting my goals today. So what do I mean by that? So the very first thing I did is we have this thing, you may know, you may have heard of this. It's called your reticular activating system. It's basically this part of your brain that determines what you see and what you don't see. It's like a filter, right? So whatever you're focused on, wherever you're going, your reticular activating system, it filters out things that don't serve you, that you don't need to see. It stops you from being overwhelmed. Otherwise, we would constantly have sensory overload. There's way too much going on. So that's one of the things the way that I'm going to show you does. So it relies on that. And then when I say human psychology, we're hardwired to move towards things that excite us, move towards things that bring us pleasure and away from things that bring us pain. So those are the two things that I use to set goals. I picked two specific goals that I wanted to work on. I didn't pick 5, 10, 15. I didn't make this long list. I sat down and I said, okay, what's the most important things that at the end of 2025, if these things happened, my life would be significantly better. Like it would be significantly better, and we could catapult not only just me, my family, and my kids ahead. I boiled it down to two separate goals. One was an income goal, right? So a very specific monthly income that we're going to hit. And the thing about when I set these goals, I knew they had to be measurable. All right. So if when I picked a specific monthly income, that's measurable. That's something that I can track. The second thing that I wanted to accomplish was deepen my connection with my wife. And when I say deepen my connection, I mean not on a physical level, not I'm talking about on a spiritual level. Like I want our spirits to just like entwine with each other and just have this incredible connection, like this incredible connection. Like I really want to have this amazing relationship with my wife. That's very, very important to me. And both of these goals, the monthly income goals and the relationship with my wife, there's a whole bunch of other things that happened as a byproduct of those two things. So I knew if those two things happened, the trickle down effect is crazy. And I'll explain that in a second. So once I identify my goals, now let me go back to my wife's. So having that spiritual connection and having that relationship with my wife, that's not a tangible goal. That's not something that can be tracked. I can't measure that. There's not a meter that measures like, okay, well, you and your wife's spirit got closer today. Like there's no such thing as that. So I needed to make it something that I could actually track. So for me, what I boiled that down to was, okay, we're going to go on a date night every single week. Like no excuses, kids not involved. We're going on a date. That's going to allow us to form that connection that I'm talking about, that mental connection, the physical connection, like just whole body connection. So I was like, okay, cool. We have the two goals, right? I finally got the two goals that I wanted to accomplish. I made them so that they're actionable, so I can actually track them. Now, like the main thing that I'm focused on at that point was developing a strong mental connection to both of those. Let me give you an example. So the particular dollar amount that we'll be earning monthly as a family, it's not enough to just it wasn't enough to just say that. There's no emotional connection because I've never made that much money in a month. Matter of fact, I'm not even close to that. So there's nothing that my brain can tangibly grab onto. So I needed to make it real. So I started asking myself, what am I going to do with that much money? Why do I need that much money? Because that's what my brain is going to do. Like, why do you need that much money? You don't need that much money. So I literally went through and started just visualizing everything that I'm going to do with that money. I started visualizing and thinking about, building our dream home. Me and my wife are building a homestead house. We're buying land in Texas. And my wife gets the green light. She can build whatever house she wants. She can put whatever kind of countertop she wants. She can put whatever kind of flooring she wants. She can do whatever style she wants. She can do whatever she wants. If she wants a 3,000 square foot home, if she wants a 8,000 square foot home, like, it's completely up to her and whatever her heart desires. Well, obviously that's going to require money. Also, I love surprising my wife, and I love surprising her family. I don't know. I just get immense amount of pleasure out of just surprising them. And even when we're out eating yesterday, we went to Ruth Chris, and I told her this yesterday. I was like, man, I would love to, bring your whole family here and just pick up the whole tab. And, another thing that I committed to was I'm a big tipper. I love tipping. So I committed to, and I'm pretty generous, but not this generous. And I was listening to one of my mentors, and he was talking about how he tips 100%. So if the tab's $400, he tips $400. If the tab is $1,000, he tips $1,000. Now, again, I'm a generous tipper, but I'm not on that level. But I was like, okay, what would that feel like? To take my wife's whole family to Ruth Chris, or, a really nice restaurant. I mean, the bill's probably going to be a couple grand. And then on top of that, to tip 100%. Like, how is that going to feel for me? Like, how is that going to make me feel as a man? And then, like, what kind of man do I need to become to be able to do that? So now, like, my brain is starting to tangibly grab on and stuff. And then I'm like, okay, I need to get my wife a car. I've always wanted to just tell my wife, get in a car, drive her to a dealership, and buy her whatever car she wants. It's always been in my head, right? It's just always been in my head. We did something similar to that, but not on this level. Like, there was limits, right? But just whatever dealership. She likes those ugly, what are those called? What are those Mercedes, SUVs called? The one that looks like a lunchbox on wheels. She loves those things. I hate them. They're disgusting. But if it makes her happy, man, like, I would just love to pull up to a Mercedes dealership. They always got one on a showroom floor, and just do something like that. So now my brain is getting emotionally attached to the amount of money. Now it's making sense. Now I have a place to put it, right? And remember, like I told you before, I was relying on human biology. We are naturally attracted to things that make us feel good, right? So now my brain is like, it's in like overdrive. And then I did the same thing as far as us going on dates every single week. What was that going to do for our relationship? What is that kind of connection going to do for our relationship? Knowing that quality time means a lot to my wife. It means a lot to me, but it really means a lot to my wife, right? And my wife is a stay-at-home mom, so she spends a lot of times with the kids. So a lot of times she needs a break from the kids. I don't really need a break from the kids, but I can just tell that she needs a break from the kids. So what is that going to do for her? Just me and her having an intimate conversation, like a deep conversation, not just because how sometimes you're with your spouse or you're with your significant other, you don't have that much time. So you spend a lot of time on the surface, like, hey, how was your day? My day was good. What did you do today? Those are surface level conversations that you're never going to create a deep, deep, deep bond with anybody, unless you're having some deep, intimate conversation. So again, now my brain is like, oh, okay, let's go. Like now I'm getting excited. And if you're listening to this, this is the easiest thing to do. Because sometimes goal setting, I was getting overwhelmed. I'll be honest. I was getting so overwhelmed because I've learned about so many different ways to set goals. Here's what this really breaks down to. Here's what it breaks down to, right? Here's what it breaks down to. All you have to do is decide what it is that you want. Just decide. Decide what it is that you actually want with your life. Whatever that is. But don't put limitations on your life, because that's the first thing you're going to do. All these limiting beliefs are going to kick in. Like, if you could have anything you want, if you couldn't fail, what does that actually look like? Have fun with this. Be creative. If you couldn't fail and you could have whatever you want, what does that look like? That's easy. This is fun. And then just boil it down to, okay, because your brain you only can really lock in on 3 to 5 things. That's really it, right? But if you pick the right 3 to 5 things over the next 12 months, if you knock that out, that could completely change your life. Completely change your life if you pick the right things. So you just have to take some time and think about, like, what's the most important thing. For me, it was the monthly income, right? And then building that connection with my wife. Now, here's the thing about the monthly income. I had to break it down to the least. I had to chunk it down smaller, because when something is so big, it's hard for our brains to kind of grasp on, right? And especially for me, this number, it would have been too big to start working through. Okay, what's the first step I do? So I broke it down to, okay, I knew what I wanted to make monthly. Then I broke it down to, okay, what does that equate to weekly? What does that equate to daily? What does that equate to hourly? And then what does that equate to every minute? So for me, it equated to $5 a minute. Now, $5 a minute, like, anybody, I don't care what you do, you can figure out how to make $5. Like, that's not an overwhelming number. So from there, it was very, very easy to back my way into, okay, how do I make $5 an hour? Like, how can I do that? Like, your brain will very quickly start thinking of different ways for that. The big number, you're going to be like, I can't do that. I can't do this. I don't know. Like, you're going to think of all these reasons you can't. So once I knew that, it was very easy to back my way into it. Then I got emotionally attached, like literally emotionally attached. And then I wrote everything down. So every single morning, I'll go in here. Today obviously was January 1st. I wrote what my goal was. So what my monthly goal is. I wrote the breakdown of how much it is a week, how much it is a day, how much it is an hour, how much it is in a minute. So again, like I was telling you guys before, my reticular activating system, otherwise known as your RAS, what that does, it starts working on solving that problem. Our brains are amazing at solving problems when we give it something to solve. Most of the times we say what we don't want. We don't say what we do want. We're telling, oh, I don't want this kind of woman, or I don't want this kind of job, or I don't want these kind of people in my relationships, or I don't want no haters. We're talking about what we don't want instead of what we do want. Think of it like this. If you give your brain the right target, it will hit it. It will figure out how to hit it, even if you have no earthly clue on how to hit it. Think of it like a sniper. Like a world-renowned sniper. If you tell a sniper, I don't care how far it could be miles away, hit that target, he will hit that target over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Your brain is a million times better than that. My brain is a million times better than that. But here's what we do. We don't actually know what we want. So that's like telling a sniper, hit that target. No. Hit that target. No, wait. Don't hit that target. Hit that target over there. No, wait a second. Like, the sniper can't do his job. The sniper can't do his job. I have 2 main goals that I'm going to accomplish this year. It's 2. I have a monthly income and date night with my wife. But those 2 individual goals, the trickle down of everything else that's going to happen is going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy. So if you pick the right target, you're going to have a trickle down effect. You have the primary effect, and then you have the secondary effect. So the primary effect, yes, it's a specific monthly income. It's date night every single week, right? Which doesn't even sound that crazy. But it doesn't matter what's going on. It doesn't matter if I'm in town, if we're not in town, if the kids are sick, if I'm sick. The situation doesn't matter. It has to happen every single week, like clockwork. These are like things that I went through in my head. This is how I like worked it out. So eventually I'm like, okay, I'm excited about where I'm going. I can see it. So then once I did all that, then I asked myself, what can I do now, right now? Like, what's missing? As a man, what's the difference? What am I missing to take me from where I'm at to the income that I want to make a month? What's missing? I did the same thing with, taking my wife on date night every week. I like, what's an obstacle? What's the number one obstacle in the way stopping this from happening? So date night every night, the number one obstacle was having a babysitter. Because typically right now, either my wife's, whenever we do something and we don't bring the kids, my wife's mom or her sister watches the kids. Well, obviously they have their own lives. And I'm not going to rely on them every single week. Like I'm not going to do that. Like that's just, I just don't roll like that. So I was like, okay, well, we need a babysitter. We need someone that's reliable that we can count on every single week, like clockwork. So I remember for my 15-year-old son, when he was younger, there was some website that I went on, and you could like find a babysitter, and they were like rated, and they had reviews. Because we don't just leave our kids with just anybody. Like that ain't how we roll. So that was like a task I gave my wife, right? So first thing this morning, I told my wife, I said, hey, and I don't even think she knew what was really going on at the time. I said, hey, I need you to find a babysitter that's reliable every single week. So if you don't know anyone, then, there's websites and stuff to find that. So I kind of gave my wife that task so she could handle that. So I started immediately taking action towards these goals, towards the things that I wanted to accomplish. I didn't wait. Because a lot of times what we'll do is we'll set goals, or we'll say we want something, and then we don't take action. It's so important you take some sort of action. Writing them down, this is action. This is some sort of action. This is a step in making them real. You have to start making them real as fast as you can. You have to start making them tangible. Another way to start making your goals like tangible and real to you is using your imagination. Your brain doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's not. When I learned this, I was like, it made sense because I remember being younger and lying. I used to lie a lot, but I remember being younger and lying, and you would lie so much that you would start to literally believe your own lie. Like it would literally become your reality to the point where someone would have to tell you, that's not what happened. So your brain will believe whatever you tell it and believe it over and over and over. So you can start visualizing these things. So that was another thing that goes in like my morning routine is taking 5 minutes, taking 10 minutes to actually visualize. What does it look like to bring in the income that I want to? What does that look like? What does that mean to my family? What does it mean to my wife? What does it mean to my kids? What does that mean to charities that I can donate to? What does that mean to my family that I can help out? Like, what does that mean? What does that actually look like? Nobody, like, at the end of the day, money is paper. It's green paper. No one is going to get excited over green paper. People don't want money. People want what money can do. I don't want money. Money's nasty. It's gross. It's just disgusting. It's disgusting. What I want is the things that you can do with money. The people you can help out. The amount of money that I'll be able to give my church. That's the stuff. So I say all this to say this to you guys. Like if you were overwhelmed, setting goals, or maybe you've never set goals before for the new year, first of all, I strongly encourage you to do it. And I'm gonna break everything I just did because I just went in depth. I'm gonna make it real simple in less than 2 minutes. Sit down and decide what you want. Put everything down on paper, everything that you want, and don't hold back, no limits. What do you want? And then once everything is written down, what are the 3 to 5 main things? No more than 5. You can pick one if you want, but no more than 5, because your brain just, you're not gonna, you need to actually focus. Because if you pick like true tangible goals, they're gonna take focus. They're gonna take energy. You can't dissipate all your energy. You need to focus. So no more than 5. I would suggest 3 or less, but no more than 5. Once you decide what it is that you want, then ask yourself, why do you want that? And get very specific. Don't give yourself this surface level answer that means nothing. Not the politically correct answer. Don't do that to yourself. Like, you need to know and write everything. Why, right? One of the reasons, like, I want to have a passionate connection, right? A deep, deep connection with my wife is because I want to have amazing sex. We already have amazing sex, but I want it even better, right? That's not something you tell everybody. That's not a generic surface level, but a lot of you guys want that. You got to get down to something that actually drives you, something that motivates you. I want to be able to give my wife the house of her dreams, whatever she chooses. A lot of people won't say that because they're like, well, nobody needs a house that big or whatever. If that's you, fine. But I would beg to differ. You're lying to yourself. You got to have something that like emotionally gets you fired up, because you're going to have to work for it. You're going to have to put in the effort. Day in, day out, day in, day out, day in, day out, consistently. Life is going to kick you right in the teeth. But if you have something that you're emotionally fired up to, like every single morning when you wake up, you're fired up. This fires me up. Fires me up. I don't need to have to worry about like, well, am I going to be able to get up at 3 a.m. every single day and not hit the snooze button? Are you kidding me? Let me try not to get too wired up. That tends to happen. So then, okay. So now that you've really started emotionally like attaching yourself, then what you need to do is come up with an actual plan. Like, there has to be, what do you need to do every single day to make the outcome happen, right? So now you know your end goal. Now all you have to do is reverse engineer it. You just have to reverse engineer it down to the least common denominator. What do you have to do every single day that's going to allow you to have the day that you need to have, which then will create the week that you need to have, which then will create the months that you need to have, which then will create the year that you need to have. When you pick your goals, it has to be something that you can break down into an actionable, tangible step that you can track. Right? So like one of mine, in order to hit the income goal that I want to hit a month, I ask myself the same thing. What's missing? What do I need? What's the biggest obstacle between where I am and where I need to be? It's attention. It's the number one thing. So what do I need to do? Post more content. What am I doing on here right now? Posting more content. Adding value. For free. So I don't know whatever your goal is, but it's like, okay, what's something that you can do right now? What's the biggest obstacle standing in your way? And whatever that obstacle is, what is something that you can do that can move you in the right direction to overcome that obstacle? It might not be a one play thing. Like one live isn't going to bring me in 1 million followers or whatever. It's just not going to do it. That's not even a point of it, right? So it's not going to be one move. It's going to be a whole bunch of strategic little moves that you're going to do that is going to move the needle forward, which will give you, right? Daily actions will give you great days. Great days will give you great weeks. Great weeks will give you great months. Great months will give you a phenomenal year. Don't overcomplicate this. It almost got to me. Don't overcomplicate it. Just set your goals and then go after them. Ruthlessly go after them. Ruthlessly. Get so fired up, so emotionally connected that when you open up your eyes, you feel like someone stole it from you. Like you already had it and someone stole that life from you and now you got to get it back. Have that much connection with your goals. But I'm excited for 2025. It will no doubt be the best year that I've ever had. It will be the best year that my wife has ever had, my family has ever had. And I wish and hope every single one of you have an incredible year. And the cool thing about that is it's your choice. It's literally your choice. You can make the decision right now to have the absolute best year ever. Follow it up with consistent action, and it can happen. And it can happen. So, catch y'all on the next one. Peace.